Committee knew all along that there was a massive security failure at the Capitol that day. The feds had the intel and for whatever reason chose not to act on it. And this was buried during the hearings and then cut from the committee's report. Watch.
The January 6th committee's final report was more than 800 pages, but some material did not make the cut, including much of its findings on the failures of federal law enforcement leading up to the attack.
Had law enforcement agencies acted on the available intelligence, do you believe the attack on the Capitol could have been successfully repelled?
I think it would have been a lot different had law enforcement taken a more assertive, protective posture. The intel in advance was pretty specific, and it was enough, in our view, for law enforcement to have done a better job operationalizing a secure perimeter.
That was the lead investigator of the January 6th committee who says they had all of this critical intel and they never revealed it. Why?
Law enforcement had a very direct role in contributing to really the failures, the security failures that led to the violence.
People familiar with the committee's work tell NBC News members downplayed that finding because they wanted to keep the focus on former President Trump. Committee members dispute that. Heafey would not discuss internal deliberations.
Was this an intelligence failure?
It was not an intelligence failure.
Heafey says the committee found the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and other agencies did not act on the intelligence they had.
So let me get this straight. This committee decided to hide the security failure from the public to keep the focus squarely on Trump. January 6th could have easily been prevented, but that's not what the January 6th committee wanted you to know. The FBI and Homeland Security saw red flags all over social media, warnings, chatter, and the feds barely shared it and didn't beef up the Capitol. Instead, the FBI put undercover agents in the crowd, and no one tried to stop January 6th until it was too late. Another cover-up by Adam Schiff. And what did Nancy know? Well, former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund says Nancy's people were warned, but they decided not to bring in the National Guard for extra security. Watch this.
It was her, Sergeant-at-Arms, Paul Irving, that denied the initial request, citing a concern for optics. I think there was a well-known concern that she had referred to federal agents and National Guard on city streets during the 2020 protests as stormtroopers. So I think that was some of his concern. When I went and talked to Mike Stinger and said, hey, Mr. Stinger or Mike, and I asked about, when I went to go see him on January 3rd, he so quickly turned around and asked for me to call the director, the commanding general of the National Guard. It made me think he had some heads up I was coming. When I asked him about that, he specifically said Paul Irving had called him in advance of me arriving, said, Sund is coming. He came to my office asking for the National Guard. Speaker Pelosi is never going to go for that. We have to come up with another idea.
So we didn't protect the Capitol on January 6th because we were afraid that Nancy Pelosi wasn't going to like the optics?